60 seconds to comply.
I think you'd better do what he says, Mr. Kenny.
You have 60 seconds to comply. This is minute 49.
Part man.
Part machine.
All pod.
This minute begins with Emil filling his bike's tank and ends with Emil recognizing RoboCop.
So, I like the line, "I'm a good shot, ... Is he though?
He likes to think he is.
Well, okay, so he's holding a Mac 10. That's the gun. Yeah, I've got up the Internet Movie Firearms database.
Very important.
Yeah. So, I've just got to read this out. The Mac 10 didn't generate a lot of interest from the US military due to its small size and high rate of fire, too high it turns out for most operational uses. The lack of a foregrip motivated Mac to provide a grip strap in the front so a second hand could hold down the gun and control the extreme muzzle climb when firing in long bursts.
Okay.
It was still an awkward weapon to fire and was most popular when mated with an effective sonic sound. Mostly because of the suppression and increase of length, which made it easier to handle. Emil's one hand shooting this. He's to shoot a guy behind what one would be assumed a plexiglass or something that might be bullet resistant, at least fire resistant. One would hope. I don't think the guy's got that much to worry about.
Yeah, so even it's not firing real bullets, but that would still be really difficult to do, I'd imagine, right? Or
well, that's the thing. It's a submachine gun. You know, most submachine guns aren't really known for their accuracy. They're spray and pray weapons.
Yeah, well, I don't think he's particularly known for his accuracy.
No.
Also, he is smoking at a petrol station.
I know.
Just wants to. Yeah, I watched a video recently.
That's a fire hazard.
Yeah, I watched. Adam Savage did a video about how horrifying petrol is. Just it is. It turns into a vapor very quickly.
Yeah.
It just goes into the air. So if there's fuel lying on the ground and you throw a match at it, it's not just gonna go there. You know, like that scene in The Dark Knight. You know, Heath Ledger. He pours all the fuel all over that cache. But he's standing there talking for a while. So while he's standing there, it's going into the air. They can probably smell it. Then he lights a match. Whoa! That would just go out.
Yeah. Well, this is when we get into the nerdy nitty-gritty of film production. So, in the fictional meta-universe that is The Dark Knight, yes, it's probably petrol or something like that. Or if you see them with the gas containers.
Maybe it was just diesel. Apparently, diesel doesn't explode as much as petrol does.
Yeah, I was going to say, it could be that. Oh, in for movie terms, it would be, a I can't remember what the freaking stuff is called, but it's basically a viscous petroleum style material that's they cover it.
Vaseline. Actually, I've never tried setting Vaseline on fire.
No, Vaseline's actually used to prevent skin burning and stun people. Vaseline, like petroleum jelly and stuff like that. You know, they usually cover hands and faces and stuff like that when they pep. So it's a more heavy duty thing, I believe.
So it's turned into the opposite.
Yeah, it became the thing it tried to.
You became the very thing you tried to destroy.
Yeah, but usually, like if they're doing specific things because of vapor and stuff like that, and they're wanting to control the fire, they're very smart with that type of stuff, you know. So yeah, they wouldn't have something that might react. Petrol air mixture, which could cause a combustion, unless it was a deliberate combustion.
It must be so great for those pyromaniac kids who are always getting in trouble, setting their carpets on fire, blowing shit up. It's like, yeah, you can get a career doing this.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a pyro, past. I've not set shit on. I've set shit on fire, but not like I've set big thing or something. Like I was interested in that kind of stuff.
For whatever reason, on my dad's side of the family, adults not so much, but every freaking kid on that side of the family goes through a pyromaniac phase, and I don't understand why. Fire is the ultimate cleanser.
Well, I just like to I'd had some model glue and you can draw a line with that kind of stuff and set online. Just basically you could draw and spray and stuff like that.
Cool.
It'll just burn that. There's ways around it. Like a lot of movies, they'll use Oh, I'm getting nerdy. I'm not even getting to the nerdy bit I wanted to nerd out on. But yeah, they have to control flame because it's dangerous.
We're a bunch of nerds, Simon. This is gonna happen.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, like flame bars, things like that, which they put across the camera to, if they want to make it look like the entire room's on fire, they have to control it. And yeah, they usually use like, petrochemical stuff, but it's not as volatile.
I really want to know, and this is sort of, I was going to make a bit of a jump over to Christine, my favorite movie of the moment. It is relevant, I swear. But yeah, I'd love to know how they set Christine on fire. Was someone driving that while she was on fire? There's very little behind the scenes stuff, and it frustrates me.
Given the era, probably. No, so they would probably have like flame bars and stuff attached. So like the inside of the cabin's probably fine as long as the stunt driver is like not going to lean out and do something. So it's probably light bars or something. Sorry, light bars, fire bars and things like that. I think they sometimes use like the fire bars are usually gas, not like American petrol gas, but like natural gas. They're butanes and stuff like that, so they're a lot more controllable and things like that. And they just turn it on, ignite, and that's it.
I'm looking closely at Christine right now, as I like to do. So it's a good hobby of mine. It's very carefully placed. It's not coming out of under the engine itself.
Yeah,
it's all on top. So
yeah, that's it. There's good reasons why you don't just set a car on fire. One of it is repeatability. You want to be able to keep using the car to reshoot and stuff like that. Also, movie cars are expensive.
Yeah, especially a rare car like the Plymouth Fury, which apparently was just so stock standard. It was like the most standard car back in the day.
Or the one I always think of is Ghostbusters. There was two things that were ridiculously expensive on that movie. One was the Ectomobile, because I only had one of them. They always got a little bit worried when Dan would thrash the fuck out of it. And the other one was Egon Spengler's grey suit at the end of when the HQ explodes, because that was a one-off suit. They couldn't get another one. They couldn't afford another one. And they were worried that it might get ruined by the water.
So I guess in this scene, the explosion to come, I guess they got one take at that, and that was it.
Yeah, that's usually a one-take deal. I'm trying to remember which. So I'm trying to remember how many, but it's like Lethal Weapon 3, where they blow up the building. They could only do that in one take. They literally blew up a building. I think at the time it was like the biggest special effect explosion in Hollywood history. And I think they had about 12 cameras, and so all the footage of that sequence was pieced together from that. I'm not entirely sure all the cameras survived.
Yeah, I wonder if there are scenes in movie history where, we have one shot at this and it gets totally fucked.
Yeah, that's happened a couple of times. And it's usually not so, for example, like, say, an explosion. It's usually not because the explosion's gone off, but something else is fucked up, usually technical.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, if there's not got enough coverage, you could probably cut around that. But, yeah, if there's, like, the camera none of the cameras caught anything, or, like, there was a technical glitch, it's usually where they've had to spend money to recreate and do it again.
Yeah, like, Anne Hathaway cut her hair, or her hair was shaved, as she was filming Les Mis, and that's one of those, that's what I think of first, like, I mean, if you're doing anything technical on that movie, you are double, triple, quadruple checking everything.
Yeah, and then what happens? Sometimes you have to reshoot. And you get Superman with a mustache.
Fucking Jesus. That is the biggest sign that Hollywood, especially modern Hollywood, is just fucked. It is so stupid. It is so up its own arse.
I totally agree with Paramount's decision on that, mostly because it was just the biggest fuck you spot.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing, is I'm not emotionally invested either way. I just like how petty it is.
Yeah.
It's not about the craft anymore. It's just about screwing over the other guy.
But it's also that thing where the production of Justice League got delayed because, Batman vs. Superman got delayed, and then they had to do the reshoot. So, yeah, it's one of those things where they really did shoot themselves in in the feet. DC did, realistically
Both
speaking.
feet. Yep.
And which is ironically when you got a Man of Steel, so that shit ricochets.
The reason why I brought up Christine is this scene very much reminds me of Buddy Repperton's death. Spoilers for a fucking 40-year-old movie, I guess. But yeah, when Christine just smashes into the petrol station, she's set on fire, she's chasing after Buddy. And yeah, I think there's just something, a bit of a vibe that's just reminding me of that. And I don't know, maybe there's just so many ways you can film a scene at a petrol station like this. I don't know.
Well, I'll bring up one of the ways they shot the explosion. That comes up in the commentary this minute, but I really want to go into the nerdy in-depth at... So, at the 15th second of this minute, there's a shot with Emil. We've already mentioned that he's lighting up. So there's a shot with Emil in the foreground and the service attendant in the background.
Split diopter.
Yes!
Love
Perfect
that.
focus on it.
Not that I'm going... Well, I'm still making my way through John Carpenter, but I have watched some Brian De Palma movies and just love it. And he does it the best, I think.
Yeah, he apparently used to do it a lot.
Oh, sorry, not to go into that, but Dressed to Kill, the movie Dressed to Kill, has both Nancy Allen and the kid who plays Arnie in Christine. So it's all bloody connected.
Yeah, we're trying not to step too much on Batman's toes, but yeah, everything's connected.
Yeah.
I first knew about this technique from watching Star Trek: The Motion Picture, where it's not done that well. I'll be honest, the shot in RoboCop is done a lot better.
Yeah.
But there's just these, because in RoboCop, it's really just showing the power dynamic between these two characters, with the attendant like at the window, his hands are up like he's literally trapped in a cage. It's the semiotics, the cinematography, it's all there. It's saying a lot, it's the power dynamic, it's all there. It's beautiful. So in Star Trek was like, yeah, we just want to show Captain Kirk in the foreground and some people in the background who don't do anything, but we got this funky lens, we want to make it look funky.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the huge difference is if you're going to use an unusual technique like this, also Dutch angles is another one where people go,
yes,
oh, it makes the scene look more interesting. Yes, it does, but this isn't a photo shoot. It's a film. So you have to use filmic language. You're not just taking one photo. It is a whole movie.
Well, everyone keeps harping on about how, the Dutch angles in the Batman 66 show, but that was part of the wackiness of the show.
Yeah, I think it was a very deliberate stylistic choice. I don't think that's a problem.
Yeah, and it works. I mean, I don't think I'd want to see a Dutch angle on a Christopher Nolan, and not that he really want to do it, but Dutch angle in Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight probably wouldn't work unless it's really trying to convey how creepy the Joker is, but I don't think the Joker's all that creepy.
Or if it's from the perspective of a character who is maybe drugged or hallucinating. If you're going to do the Scarecrow, for example, that's when I would employ it because it's a stylistic choice.
I don't recall it even being used for that.
They barely use Scarecrow.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into too much of a tangent, but just characters who are never utilized properly. It always frustrates me. He's there. Do something. I don't know.
Well, we'll eventually get to that when we guest on Bat Minutes and Robin.
Yeah. Well, I was already on there talking about Bane, so Yeah. But so the Ford Taurus shows up with RoboCop, and or maybe RoboCop shows up with the Ford Taurus. I don't know. Who's leading the charge here? Maybe the car.
They were dating at the time, and they didn't. But
maybe the car's also a robot. I don't know. But I've been looking into it more, and technically speaking, we have the Ford Taurus to blame for the current era of rounded cars. It really did strike that very sharp line between boxy and bubble car, basically. Suppositories.
I never thought about it, but as soon as you said that, I'm like, really, that makes a lot of sense.
And it's so crazy to look at a Taurus now and think, that's futuristic if you say so. But they had come from such a long line of square, boxy, rectangular shapes that this rounded car was something quite revolutionary. And
Yeah.
now we're just like, please, dear God, make it stop. Please stop.
Well, it's funny because it was a 1987 model, wasn't it? The Taurus in this.
Yeah, 86 or is it? I think it was just the prior
Yeah.
to come out. Yeah.
I can't remember, but it was one. It was like one of those first generations of this. What became the standard in car design.
So it was such a
so it's-
perfect choice on Verhoeven's part. And it doesn't seem like he was, very much a car guy. He wasn't really thinking too deeply about it. It just, yep, that's the one that works.
It's funny because in hindsight, this could age the movie badly in many ways because that's how a lot of these things happen. But it's funny how it still works because it feels like a very modern car, which doesn't date this movie. Like if this was like a standard 80s bucket of boxy thing, it would probably be a bit, that doesn't feel a bit futuristic. But
It's an absolute, maybe unintentional, but a stroke of genius that you go, we're bringing it up into the modern age, but it's not, what do you call it, like a Blade Runner kind of vehicle.
Spinner.
Yep, I could not for the life of me think of the word.
It took me a second. This is one of the things where, I like how, it's supposed to be set in the future, but then they don't bother setting it a year, so, you don't have to worry about that aging badly.
Oh, by the way, the Ford Taurus from 1999 is the ugliest car ever created. It looks like an ant. It is an insect, not a car. It nauseates me to look at. Because they kept going with, you guys like round?
99?
Here's some, 99.
Oh, shit. First one I saw was black, and it looks like a bug. Like, it doesn't even... It looks more like a bug than a beetle does.
Yeah, it really... It's just like, like round? Oh, we're going to keep going round. You want more round?
Oh, that side profile's bad. It's like someone got a Porsche and then airbrushed the wrinkles out.
Yeah, they ironed out a Porsche. Yes, so it's gone from frog to ant.
God,
I think that tracks. Yeah.
Oh wow, this is bad. Is that the interior? Oh God, even that interior is. Oh wow, that's bad. That's bad.
Yeah, you guys, Ford, you were riding so high, you got too up on your britches there, or whatever the phrase is.
You flew too close to the sun.
Yeah, but yeah, it's amazing that this was a car that at one point was the best-selling. It was a real turning point in the automotive industry. Everyone loved this particular look. Every other car started being more round. And it's sort of come it's just come around to be this thing that most car fans are so exhausted with. We don't want these curvy cars, please. No more suppositories.
Well, I guess it makes them easier to insert. Anyway.
God, the dashboard. I gotta stop. Oh my God. I'm just gonna look at a Saab dashboard so I can calm down a little bit. Saab.
Just need a palate cleanser for that.
Just give me a minute. Oh, delicious. Beautiful aircraft interior. Yep.
Saab, if you want to sponsor this, please get in contact.
Yes,
at
defunct Swedish automotive company. Yes, please.
So this is also the minute where Murphy brings out the.
What are we doing?
Immortal
RoboCop.
line.
Yeah, RoboCop.
Yeah, just steering it back in like a car that's being off the road. So yeah, Murphy says the classic line, "Dead or alive, you are coming with me," which makes Emil go, "What the fuck?" Not literally, but
he's feeling it. It's on his face. It's coming.
Yeah, just as long as it's not coming on his face. Hey-oh!
Oh. How did I not get? I'm normally the dirtiest. Speaking of being dirty,
I saw a burlesque show on Friday, so yeah, I've still got dirtiness in my mind.
All right.
Anyway,
yeah. So upshot of RoboCop. He's walking towards Emil and just like big old titties. All you see is big old plastic RoboCop titty coming towards the screen.
There was a bit of a dad ass shot as he's getting out the car as well.
I think they are sexualizing RoboCop in this scene, and frankly, I will not stand for it. This is not equality. Robots.
Well, if you go to second 48, you get a lot of light bouncing off that caboose. That's all I'm saying.
They're kind of shooting him like a car. I feel that
They are. They really are.
And the way they framed the car itself is quite interesting. It's just... Well, so we've been cutting back and forth, Emil doing his thing, and then RoboCop driving in to the scene. And I think just actually seeing the car creeping into frame in the background and remaining there, you're marrying these two narratives, which most people just wouldn't even think about. But we need to get a sense of perspective or orientation, and you'd be amazed how many movies, especially in the early 2000s with the shaky cam and all that shit, we weren't oriented in a scene very well.
Yeah. I'm going over the cinematography, and it's like Emil starts off with the rider screen, and then it turns, and he turns around, and it does a loop-de-loop round to him, so he's left the screen facing right, and then it cuts to RoboCop in almost the exact same pose, and it's like, oh, Jesus Christ, so good.
Yeah, it's not something I really noticed. I watched it a few times and just went, oh, that's kind of clever.
I'm scrolling through as I do, and it's just like, oh my God, we just don't get a lot of this anymore. It's just so simple, and it's amazing those very small things, and somehow we've lost a lot of visual storytelling.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times the character just kind of shows up, and it's just, okay, I guess these two characters are together now. But yeah,
even like the lack of establishing shots in movies nowadays is astounding.
Yeah,
like not even having an actual establishing the location is just like, geez, this is just principles, fundamentals. Just how can you screw this up?
Yeah, especially with network television, it feels like it's pressed for time. Oh well, the audience gets it, and in a way, yes, because visual language has evolved to the point that I think the famous example is you watch an old trailer from the 80s and you watch one now, and well, I think the new ones basically show you the entire movie, but it actually doesn't have the inner world, and this guy is doing this thing, and
I miss the inner world guy.
I kind of think you lose something, because actually a very good trailer from that era is Christine, where all you get is these very sensual rim light shots of curves. It's not even bright red. They've kind of desaturated. So is it skin? What is this? And then it gets a little bit more red, and it's like she is passionate, she is envious, she is and then you cut to Christine. The headlights come on real bright, really loud engine comes directly at the camera, and it's like, oh, okay, I've got everything I need to know. It's just a sense of what the film is.
Yeah, we really don't get a lot of that anymore, which is kind of suck, especially when it's like a comedy, and most of the comedy is like relies on humor. The problem with a trailer is that you're going to see a trailer...
Relies on surprise,
Yeah, so many times before you even get to the movie, and this is kind of one of the problems I had with the Ghostbusters remake, not just because it wasn't that funny to begin with, but...
Yeah, you heard it so many freaking times.
Yeah, and then there's actually a joke I thought would have been absolutely killer if I hadn't have seen it 15 times in the trailer. By the time I got to it in the movie, I was just like, yeah, okay.
Please to God, kill me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my other note about the Ford Taurus. Ford Taurus is just fun to say. But yeah, it has a 3 liter Ford Vulcan V6 engine. I'm surprised it's just a V6. It's not a huge engine, but it's got a good sound. And I don't know if maybe they've put a different sound on top. I don't know.
Well, they've probably done that in post, but it's only a consumer car, so I wouldn't expect it to have much more of it. But never know. I would have expected it to be like a 4-cylinder or something like that. But the movie car, they might have decked it out a bit better.
True.
Well, the police car is supposed to be a bit more state of the art in the movie. Like,
I'd love to know if they did modify it. Yeah.
yeah, the book kind of goes like, they have names for it, and it's always that thing like the Turbo Cruiser. So it's like, it really gives a sense that this thing's a beast of a machine. So the scripts in the book are pretty similar. There really is not much difference, except we get a lot of classic padding, because the book reveals that the gas station attendant is 17-year-old Mickey Radford, who wanted to be an astronaut.
Astronaut.
So this is kind of saying why he's doing this. He's like trying to become a pilot and an astronaut, and apparently
He is not 17.
no, this guy is not 17. No. And he's had a bit of a hard life if that's a 17. Oh no, you never know.
I don't know. That's like I'm nearly 30 now, and I look at some people who are nearly 30. It's like, Jesus Christ, are you on meth? You look so bad. Oh God.
He looks a little bit like Scott from Tripod, but that's a bit of a deep cut.
Oh yeah. God, Tripod. I haven't thought about that in years. By the way, sorry to interrupt, but I found the answer to how they set Christine on fire, because this is welcome to the Christine Movies by Minute podcast, where the episodes actually go backwards the more you listen, like her odometer. Anyway, to ignite the famous burn car, it was covered in rubber cement during production and lit on fire.
That's mortar glue. Yeah, rubber cement, mortar glue. Yeah, so you get a long sustained burn. It doesn't spread. It says contain, and I believe it only burns the cement, so you probably still have to scrape it off. But
can't wait to play with some rubber cement and a match now.
YouTuber destroys their flat.
Oh my God! You know what you just made me realize is that if I die, that is what they're gonna say. YouTuber dies, probably doing some stupid shit.
They only saw a burnt-out toy Hot Wheel car and some lighter fluid.
Yeah.
Speaking of special effects,
I'm too afraid to set my diecast on fire, but also it would be pretty fucking rad. I don't know.
you could probably get away with a little bit of petrol or something like that. So, yeah. There are ways.
We don't advocate setting shit on fire, listeners. I'm sorry. We were thinking.
No
thought experiments.
No, this is all purely educational. We do not recommend setting stuff on fire. We do not say you should cover stuff in rubber cement and light it with a match, no matter how cool it looks.
Don't try to.
And And I think at this point we should stop talking about setting stuff on fire. Anyway, according to the commentary, a lot of the special effects weren't ready.
Safety first.
Apparently, okay, so in the script it's just pretty much like thing blow up. Essentially, the script is, so what happened was, I'm not sure if it was Paul or they had storyboards, I'm not sure, but apparently they had a whole lot of, what they call gags they wanted to set up for the shot. So like the petrol moving towards the cigarettes and all that type of stuff, or Emil spraying the petrol all over the place and stuff like that. Things, all those shots. The only effect they had ready to go was the explosion.
That's the important one.
Yeah, so they set all that up. They got it, they made it all safe and everything like that. So apparently, the stuntmen were pissed that they had to set up all these other things safely and make sure all the petrol goes in the right places and all stuff. Set up all the gags, and apparently Ed pissed off the stunt crew because he was asking about it, and they were just so fucking angry because they had to set up all this shit they didn't realize they had to do. But he does mention this. So he talked last minute about coverage of explosions. I'm not sure. It's definitely not in this minute, so it's obviously something coming up in the next minute or two. Ed points out that one of the cameramen in the explosion scene, I think it's next minute, he's lying underneath a blanket close to the petrol station to get a shot. Obviously he's wearing a fire blanket and stuff like that. Apparently he was pissed off that the explosion wasn't big enough. So that's all my notes.
Yeah.
Oh no, one thing I was One thing I was going to bring up is, now rewatching this, now there's stuff going on with Murphy, we've not seen RoboCop quip that much when dealing with bad guys. Do you think that dream and maybe the interaction with Murphy is why he now, subconsciously uses the dead or alive line?
Oh, yeah, so part of him is awakening.
Yeah. And I wouldn't say it's the recognition of Emil, because that seems to be a thing that really kind of comes about in the next minute.
Oh, that was my other note, is so Emil recognizes RoboCop. How?
From the line.
From just that alone? I mean, it's not the most unique thing.
Yeah, but, it's not like they're really disguising Murphy's voice, and it does take him a while. It's just that thing of, he's probably looking at the mouth, the jaw, the line, the inclination. It's probably there going, hang on.
It's like if apparently there's a lot of Courtneyisms. I didn't realize, but most of my listeners or viewers are just like, you are a wealth of hilarious phrasing going, that's just how I talk, man. I don't know what you're talking about. One of our episode titles is, you just gotta smash it out. And I read that and I immediately went, oh yeah, I do talk like that.
Well, in the script it says, as direction, it says, Emil has heard these words before. He stares at robots, staggered by a nightmare deja vu.
Deja vu? I just feel like I've been here before.
So I think it's definitely one of those things where it's... You'd think a guy who just has probably murdered dozens of people by now. The gang has murdered, 40-odd cops. You would think, they just washes off. But maybe it's just recent enough and, it's just that thing where it just triggered. So, memory. Interesting. But I like it. I like to think of it from the RoboCop's point of view. If he hadn't have had the dream and if he hadn't have met Lewis, would have that triggered that response? So, food for thought. It's never solved. I just thought it'd be interesting as a thought experiment. That's all me done.
Yep, I guess it's fucking gaslighting RoboCop now.
Alex, how do you feel? I feel fine, Dr. Norton.
This minute begins with locking and loading and ends with unloading. And my only note is Hocus Pocus by Focus is more interesting than the action on screen. That is the song they have decided to use. And also, that's another thing. Music choices in a film. There's nothing wrong with using contemporary music, and in some films, that music is just so iconic and becomes so much a part of the film. Simple Minds and Breakfast Club, obviously. Those two things are just so intertwined. The Twin Peaks, actually, I was surprised to learn the theme song already existed. That is an existing song. It was not
really
composed. Yeah, and then in the Return, the third season, he uses a lot of contemporary music. So I feel like it's done to it's very consciously done. It's done to a particular effect. Whereas something like the RoboCop remake or Suicide Squad, I think you can really tell when it's disingenuous and it's this kind of attempt to build excitement, generate interest. Like, yeah, don't you love this song? Isn't this really putting you in the zone?
The original Suicide Squad, the music selection is
generic.
It's not even generic. It was very thought out. Yeah, the selection was very just cookie cutter by the numbers. Dan Elson does a really great video on this, but it's also one of those things that it was just a shortcut for storytelling. It was so shorthand to get the audience very quickly on board of what this character is by the music selection, but then they still introduce the characters 5 fucking times.
Yep.
My only line for this minute of gaslighting is badass line isn't. RoboFlag's line is just... I'm not saying the B word. No, I'm not saying it. Just... this is an action scene that just makes me go, where's the action?
Yeah, I there's nothing to invest me. It's a training montage, first of all, and
it is.
That's generally quite a difficult thing. Oh, by the way, in the background it says MCU, which makes me think of better movies. So good job, RoboCop remake. Yeah.
Even fucking Rorschach goes this is the deal. I hit you, you scrap. if you hit me, you go through to the next round. So it's that thing of like, yeah, we already know he's going to fucking win because you're establishing an all or nothing stake, but literally, well, no, we're not halfway through this fucking mess. We're 50 minutes into this damn mess.
We don't give the original RoboCop much of a training montage. What we do, it's much more economical. So even though this RoboCop movie is about half an hour longer than the original, and for good reason. It's just so much slower, but for not for any particular reason. So here it's drawn out. So I can absolutely see the script writers now going, or the producers just going, the scene where RoboCop is just shooting that big ass motherfucking gun, and all the other cops are like, "Whoa, what is that?" Yeah, that wasn't enough.
Yeah.
We need to draw this out. And yeah, that's another. We're talking about structure in the last minute, and another very pivotal thing is, what do you decide to place focus on? And now that I'm editing someone else's writing, I noticed that what they didn't realize is, he would write every line of dialogue. So a character comes in and says, "Oh, your guest has arrived," and they just go, and he said this and she said this. Like, you can just have the servant come in and say, "Your guest has arrived," or they lead the guest in. Like, you don't have to go through every little step. This is that. RoboCop 2014 is every single fucking step between point A and point B.
Was it enter late, leave early?
Yeah, exactly. I think what people are going to be most interested in is where there are stakes. I think if I had to break every story in the universe down to its most fundamental, it's progress and it's stakes. And there is no progress here, there's no stakes here.
Well, why wasn't this scene where it's RoboCop versus the VR dummy robot scene?
Well, we've already done it. Yeah, that's another point. This is like Suicide Squad introducing the characters twice. Like, we just had the fucking, if only I had a heart scene. Which, compared to this, I think that last training montage was actually a lot better. This whole fucking scene here is shit. Can we actually veto the rest of this scene? Can we actually just jump ahead so that we actually we do end up reviewing the whole thing, but not the whole thing, if you know what I mean? Like, we do get to the end, but
this might be something we have to talk outside of the podcast.
We'll think about it. We'll think about it. We don't have enough listeners. We don't have enough viewers to. I'm sorry, just turn into the greatest generation. I'm sorry. We don't have enough listeners to vote.
Anyone who's listening, comment below, and we'll see what we do.
Yeah, because fuck the scene.
This is something I was probably going to. So if we're not going to do it, I'm very tempted to not fucking do it.
Yeah.
One of the things I also hate about this scene is there is literally no weight to it, in the sense of you've got these CGI robots and they look like they weigh nothing.
Yeah.
They're like feathers. There's no physics to this. And even RoboCop is just like going, click, 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 click. There's no fucking drama to this.
Yeah, what is this scene establishing, or what are we learning that we didn't in the last scene? And I actually think, I mentioned this, but I really liked the sort of philosophical divide between Jackie Earle Haley and Gary Oldman. I think their characters had quite an interesting dynamic there. Just do more of that. Not this. Move on. We're ready. He's done his training montage. The superhero is ready to fight crime and do all that stuff.
Oh, I just realised something. This is their version of the cocaine shootout. Oh god, it's the cocaine factory shootout when RoboCop goes and arrests Bodica. This is that.
Huh. It's funny though. That scene was like
and less
important,
cocaine.
And had coke. So that was very important. But also, man, I really want to watch Miami Vice now.
You're not exactly up my alley, style and persona wise.
For some reason. Yeah, I just don't understand. I mean, I know there's so many different people working on a film that is amazing, anything gets done at all. Which I
yes.
think makes something like the original RoboCop so spectacular when you think this was a script that was just thrown in the bin initially. It was retrieved out of said bin, and it managed to get from script to screen in one piece, mostly.
I think the problem with a movie like this is because it is a corporate decision to mine a franchise that's familiar. So there's no impetus behind the creative force to create something interesting, new, unique. So there are people that can take a movie, recreate it, add some flavor to it, and make something really interesting and worthwhile. But movies like this, the impetus is not about that. It's about money, cashing in. And again, this is one of my problems with a lot of the remakes. I could name so many where it's just like, they probably have got an insanely creative force behind it. But at the end of the day, the people at the top do not give a shit. There's no one pushing for this movie to be interesting in the slightest. They just fucking shit it out, get it out so they can get the nostalgia bucks, and that's it.
I said this on the Airwolf Years podcast recently. We're talking about bringing Knight Rider back, and I said every single Knight Rider...
You look like crap.
Fuck you, kid!
Oh, there's a cop in the back. Oh, I'm going to be arrested by RoboCop. Here it comes.
We said bad things about the remake. Oh, that scared them off.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Doppler effect. So, yeah, I said on the Airwolf Years about why every adaptation of or remake or sequel, reboot, makeable of Knight Rider has failed, is because the person behind it fundamentally isn't curious about that story. They haven't spent time living with that story going, I wonder what happened if this or that, the same way we have with RoboCop, or let's talk about Christine again. I'm sorry, it's just my latest thing. That's why, okay, so this is going to put a timestamp on this episode, but, okay, I'm very curious about this.
We've already talked about the Suicide Squad, and that came out 3 weeks by the time this is coming out.
So that's going to be directed by Brian Fuller, who is a huge Stephen King fan, and he has a fair amount of creative control. You know, he's a fairly known entity in the industry. He can sort of push back. So I'm very curious, like, is that one where it's going to show, yes, someone who has spent a lot of time thinking about this story, wants to explore things about this story, is that what it takes? Whereas this RoboCop remake, I don't know if that director even had seen RoboCop prior.
Yeah, there's always a little bit of that. Do they know what they're doing? There's also fans who should never be allowed to work on a project. Moffat!
Yeah.
But it's interesting when you get someone who does have a deep love of a property and they have established credits and they've got the chops. So you see, that does get you excited. I mean, I hate to say it, like James Gunn being announced to write and direct the Suicide Squad made me just go, well, they were trying to make a cheap, shitty knockoff of a James Gunn movie in post.
We really want a James Gunn movie. Should we hire James Gunn? No, don't do that. What are you doing?
Yeah, for DC and Warner Bros., the stars aligned, at least in that aspect. And I will be honest, I think the Suicide Squad might be one of the best superhero movies. It's probably one of the best. At least it's definitely the best in the DCEU, just in terms of cinema. Just in terms of movie making. It's tightly written. It's well scripted. The acting's superb. The editing's great. The VFX and stuff like that. Blah, 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 blah. It's good.
So I guess, you know what? I in a way, I kind of like aspects of where modern cinema is going in terms of, well, we made this movie about 3 years ago, made a complete balls of it, just do it again. I kind of like
the funny thing about Gunn is that he does lean into a lot of 70s retro storytelling.
Nice.
So,
but yeah, I think that's, I don't know, like it's more like theater where it's just we're gonna do a new production of Suicide Squad. Yeah, no big deal.
We've talked about this in the past, but it is interesting that theatre is essentially, constantly remaking the same thing, but because you've always got different creative forces behind it and different creative visions behind it. It could be the exact same script, but each director, theatre director, each actor brings their own thing to it.
I would love the idea of butthurt fanboys going, "Oh, they're doing another Phantom of the Opera! Jeez, why?" Like, yeah.
No, I think everyone's just there going, "Oh, good, we can get rid of that Joel Schumacher one."
Yes. Good.
Oh no, it's actually directed by Andrew Lloyd Webber.
I guess that's all my notes, all the points I had to make.
Yeah, I think I ran out of notes 15 minutes ago and I've just been vamping, but
Bullshitting, yeah.
It's been fun.
Alright, where can we find you, Simon?
I guess you can find me at Fandom Crossing and Helios Photos. Just look for the YouTubes and the Facebooks. Oh, the links are below. Look at the links. And where can they find you?
And you can find me at traviandesigns.com, Travian. And I don't think I could ever say Travian without assuming people don't know how to spell it, because it's a made-up word.
Yeah.
So there's no way in hell you're going to get it. That's where you can find my photo shoots and my podcasts and writing and just everything. And then you can find me on YouTube as Courtney Coulson, talking about my life as a female to male to female detransitioner. And also there is the Greatest Regeneration on Instagram, where I go through the 1980s in chronological order.
And when you've gone through all that ridiculous amount of content on Courtney's sites, you can check us out on Simplecast, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, most podcasting things.
Say hello on Instagram.
Yeah, we've got Instagram and don't have a Twitter, but that's because...
No, we go to Twitter. We do go to Twitter.
We have a Twitter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't get a lot of attention there, so feel free to go on over there.
Yeah. And while you're there, share, subscribe, comment, link, whatever. Share with your friends. Share with your friends. Maybe you hate them and want to torture them for 45 minutes listening to two people get really anally obsessed about camera lenses and cars. Although cars is probably a bit more, people like cars. I guess cars are cool.
Yeah, universal appeal. That's what we're going for.
Just feed the algorithm. Feed it.
Until next time.
Dances with Robocock.
Love it.
Yeah, I did it.
Yeah. Good job.